Hi, I'm Rigger. This is You Were Right, and it is episode 10 of Ice Queendom. And like usual, I'm gonna dive right in real quick. I don't want to waste any of your time, but I have one quick thing I want to say. Again, I'd like to apologize, there hasn't been any other videos recently, that's just how it goes. But I think perhaps this week, I don't think there'll be a new video of something else, but I think there might be an update video. I'm pretty sure I'm going to put it out this week as long as I find the time. And if you're someone who follows me over on Twitter, you've probably seen I've been talking a lot, especially about YouTube. And yeah, I think it's time for an update video about the channel, especially heading into whatever comes after Ice Queendom, but before Volume 9. But I do want to say, don't worry, I know when YouTubers say, oh, I need to make an update video, it's time we have a chat. It always seemed ominous and bad. Nothing's bad, but things are changing a little bit, and it's not in a negative way at all. In fact, I think it's a big positive way, but I want to talk to you about it there in a dedicated thing rather than just as part of this. So look out for that, should be coming soon. But as for today, we are talking about episode 10. I love this episode for a lot of things. I had a really great time. A few negatives, but we'll get to it when we get to it. But before we start, if you could, please leave a like, share, subscribe, comment, let me know what you think. All those things, they really help out. I hate having to say that every time, but it really does help. It makes a huge difference. But for now, let's dive in. So we start out as we learn Blake's plan and things get a little clearer. And, okay, you know what? I was gonna save this till later, but I'm gonna put it here. Since I talked about other things at the start, let's do a little ranty bit. I am so happy with this episode, what they did, and I am so happy it turned out this way because it just, like, can people have a little faith? Can people give things a little time? I saw the response to what was going on with Blake all over, and look at how wrong everyone was with Blake dressing like Adam and all the abuser stuff and what it means and people not getting it and people judging early. And look, it made perfect sense and it, you know, was a huge character moment and it was a big risk and a big leap, and just give it some time and don't be so quick to just leap on to anything you think is a problem. I really like how they handled it. I think it's really interesting. And at no point was it portrayed as a good, positive thing. But as I thought it would be, it's taking a negative and using it in a positive way. How dare Blake, you know, own the things that have happened to her and use them to a positive end, you know? I just wish everything wasn't a fight. I mean, in RWBY, that's great, we love our fights, but no, in the fandom, I just wish everything wasn't a fight and a problem. And, yeah, it's really been getting to me lately how much everything is a fight and how much everything is a problem. And I'm so glad that this episode showed all those people how stupid that is and how we should just move on. It is a show. It is entertainment. As long as it's entertaining, it's doing its job. And getting discussions going and people talking about real things is great, but I think it's been pretty clearly shown that a lot of people have a really hard time measuring themselves and talking about these things as adults and not letting it go too far and not letting their emotions take over. So, yeah, I'm just glad it worked out this way because this episode is excellent at people thinking outside the box. It's one of the best Blake character episodes ever, and since Blake is pretty much my favorite member of the team, I love it for that. The failings of this episode really only come across in some animation stuff, which might be because it's episode 10. But yeah, it's great. So let's get into the actual plot. What is Blake's plan? Well, Blake's plan is crazy and I love it. Blake proposes that she intentionally infect herself with the other Nightmare Grim, the one that they pulled out of Jean, because that will empower all the negatives in her, all the things she recognizes are in herself. All her hatred towards the Shanidas company, all of that, all of the faunus persecution and hatred that, you know, are buried in her negative side, turning herself into negative Blake, and providing Weiss with exactly what she wants, but also confronting Weiss. You know, Weiss wants, well, that part of Weiss's subconscious wants that enemy to fight, well, let's provide her that. But also, hopefully, she will recognize that, as Blake says, The Schnee Dust Company and the White Fang are reflections of each other. They fuel each other. You know, when one gets worse, the other gets worse in response. And hopefully confronting her with that, they'll cancel each other out. And if that means we can save Weiss, then you can save me after. Which is such a sacrificial play. It's intentionally inviting such harm, and Yang is confronted by that. And I actually really like that moment that you actually see that of the team, the one who is most willing to throw themselves into complete danger is Blake. Because you could say they all dive into danger when you fight a Grimm, but that's a fair fight. This is inviting basically to be poisoned. Poison me. You know what, I'll have more time than the other person who's already poisoned, so poison me now to save them, and we'll deal with me later. That's a huge sacrificial play, that's a gigantic risk, and it comes from someone who's had to live the life Blake does, of more life and death than just going hunting where you think you're in a position to fight, where you know the Grimm and you're trying to do these things. And also not just defensive play. Not just, oh, a Grimm attacked us, so we gotta fight back. This is willfully inviting pretty severe harm and risk to yourself just to help other people, which is what huntsmen do in a way too. It's great. Seeing Blake on that pedestal, Blake is someone willing to go further than everyone else, and her convincing someone like Yang to go along with it, pretty crazy stuff. And I love that Blake just comes out and says a few things. Like, she says, like, do you hate Weiss? And Blake says, no, I don't. And she knows that. But she also knows what part of her will be tapped into by the nightmare. And despite the fact that, you know, artistically you should be able to imply all these things and not just have to say them, sometimes it really is nice to just have some big confirming flat statements of like, no, I don't hate her, which we all know, but it's just sometimes nice to get those moments where it's just flat, it's on screen, it's in bold text, and we can move on. And also, by that same note, I do love that after Yang has to run, because they're gonna do it, Blake is almost she's not surprised, and she even willingly confronts and stays strong against the vision of Adam. Of course, you're my nightmare. And she keeps eyes locked with that nightmare, even as she's being taken over. Even as things are badly happening to her, she stays strong in her resolve, that she has faith in her friends, they'll save her. She's not scared of this, she's not scared of him. It's great. And also, I do love that we also cut outside and we see Juniper's concern. Juniper, who have almost nothing to do now, but their willingness to jump in, saying, can we jump in as well? Can we swap places with them? This is great. Just little things, little moments to keep them attached and keep them somewhat involved, even if it's just for basically running commentary that they're running out of time. And I do like Osmond saying, look, you know, really you need to have faith in them, because they're going to be the people fighting by your side. We should trust that they know what they're doing. And that's when Osmond gives his permission for this nightmare play, which is pretty crazy. I mean, hey, we know Ozpin, and perhaps he isn't always the best judgment, but this seems like he was having faith in them in a good way. They also bring up that basically people are out of coins to use. Yang has one more, but after that they have to keep one on them, because Shion makes it clear that if the nightmare's hold over Blake isn't too strong, they should be able to use a coin to pull her out of it, and then one more coin to pull everyone else out of the dream. So hold on to your coins. Yang has 2 left, Blake has 1. Yang's going to use one of hers to make a door, but otherwise we're out of, you know, little gimmicks to spend. So it's time to make your final plays, because you're out of tricks to use. And they make it clear, Weiss is out of time. This is your last chance, so, you know, make it count. Also, I do want to say that I do like the one joke they managed to slip in just for a bit of levity, which was Ren being very, very dry. Nora going, oh, if this happened to you, I'd do the same thing. And then Ren goes, but I'm very adept at avoiding the Grimm. Did you not remember? It's just a little joke, but it's fine. I appreciated the brief second of levity before we got into all the action. But get into the action we did, as Shion did explain. When you introduce a nightmare to a nightmare, it starts fracturing and things get weird, which explains our portal from last time with all the White Fang just diving through. And it makes sense, because it's sort of running off Blake's hatred and what the White Fang part of her wants, or the very, you know, toxic White Fang part of her. And that's straight for the throat, which is straight for the Schnee Dust Company, so it, like, tears through the reality of the dream and just makes a portal right there. I do love like demon time Blake when she's seen in flames and is just this, rage beast and everything is on fire. It's quite cool. Just the embodiment of hatred in her own way, especially since it contrasts so heavily with Weiss. Because when you think flames and you think RWBY, you probably think Yang, but here they're like black and purple flames of rage and hatred, but that's compared to the cold, militaristic, and hard, icy version in Weiss. So one is burning passion, and the other is cold, regimented unforgivingness, and they are opposites, but, fueled by a similar thing, coming from a similar place for each of them. Unfortunately, this is where we get into some of the issues for the episode, mostly in the visuals. We have some repeated animation, repeated poses, especially on Blake. It's very noticeable that she does one dramatic talking pose and they do one little sword swipe and then it's back to the exact same pose, and it's like not even well hidden, it's the same exact thing. And they definitely had a little bit of letdown with the Blake and Weiss fight because it's such a well built up to fight with such big stakes on it, and you miss part of it with just a pan over a blank city, like slate, just a still image, and it feels like they're starting to run out of money, like the budget's starting to grind to a halt. Now, I'm hoping that they haven't made the mistake of spending all the budget early and just scraping by at the end. I'm hoping they've saved a little bit for the very end, so the last big showdown can be glorious. With anime, it's usually a 50-50 shot. Did they save some for the end, or did they burn through it early and they're just trying to scrape and get by? Because the same thing happens for Yang when she's, she gets saved by the cloak, and that's a great moment. I did enjoy that, and she rides through, but a lot of the bits on the bike are very choppy. It feels like it's set up to be a great moment. Well, it is a great moment in the dialogue and the scene that Yang trusts RWBY as leader and goes, here's the relic, you get inside and do this, no questions if she can do it. Just complete faith, bringing those things back from the previous episodes where Yang sees her as competent, not just as a little sister, and trusts her to do the mission. That's great. And they race off towards the giant protective Nicholas statue and it starts punching down at them, and then it gets real choppy, and then it goes to like a panning frame of Nicholas, and then it just cuts to RWBY being basically almost inside, just leaping through the air, and she gets inside. That's pretty choppy. And like there's great moments of Yang being chased off the cliff and she starts breaking physics and riding on the side of a wall and goes, oh yeah, dream. Like that's great. But a lot of the animation around it is hard. Obviously, they're working with like some 3D and some stuff like that for the bike, and that's fine, it's gonna happen, but you do really notice, and I feel like we could have worked around the bike stuff, and I would have loved to see more of the Blake and Weiss. But again, it comes through in the dialogue and what they do, the positives. So despite the fact that some of the animation was choppy and a bit lacking for Blake and Weiss, the conversation is great, where even negative Weiss, even though it's not really her, recognizes this isn't Blake either. So is recognizing in the other that you're not, like real Blake would never say this, like I will bring you out of this. Not realizing of course that she is also affected. And a great moment that builds to all this is that Blake starts running Weiss down for everything that's been done to the Faunus. Weiss is like, what's wrong? And she's like, the Faunus have been put to work, the Faunus have been used to fight in wars, the Faunus have been judged. All these things that the Schnee Dust Company especially has done to them, humanity in general, but the Schnee Dust Company more recently. And she says, you'll be judged as a daughter of the Schnee Dust Company, and you can see the look on Weiss's face, like, that's not fair, I didn't do that, like, just because my family did. She didn't say all that, but you can see that confronting moment. And that's especially great contrasting with what we've seen over and over again for all the episodes leading up to this, which is all of the rest of the nightmare has been this negative Weiss trying to gain the approval of the Schnee family. Well, they keep saying, you're a true daughter of the Schnees, and, a true member of the Schnee family would do this, and that's what she's been striving for. And now Blake's confronting her with a true member of the Schnee family, as far as we're concerned, is responsible for all these crimes, and that's confronting. And that cuts through what negative Weiss thinks she wants, and it's a great little, meshing of these things. And neither of them are themselves, both of them are spewing, hatred and all these negative things, but it's being effective and it's airing out some of the dirty laundry, so to say, but in a way that's being put to positive use. It's trying to snap Weiss out of it. And even Weiss is recognizing that this also isn't Blake. They recognize that this hatred and evil isn't who the other are. And we already know Blake sees that way, but now Weiss is seeing that way. It's really interesting and really cool. And, you know, the dream's starting to fall apart and there's fire raining from the skies. It's pretty epic, and it should look really epic. And some of the shots do, and some of the shots don't. And I think that it's just running out of money, or it's running out of time, or both, which happens. Which isn't an excuse, but it's just the reality of the thing. The only other thing of note is that when RWBY gets inside, Whitley takes the relic from her and she turns her scythe to sniper mode and shoots him out of the sky. Doesn't kill him, just wings him. Wings. And she gets the relic back and wonders if that's why Weiss had the barrel flipped, which doesn't seem right. I saw people saying it's so she could snipe out of the train. There's no way Weiss could have known she would need to do that. There still doesn't seem to be a good reason for it, but it feels like we're building up to it, because we end with RWBY attacking the Grimm. So it feels like somehow it will come through what Weiss was thinking with changing the way the weapon works. And hopefully that'll help her conquer the Grimm. And it is interesting that you have a 1v1 RWBY versus the Grimm, and she starts hacking away. And we know RWBY's great at fighting Grimm. So that should be interesting. That's where we leave that. And everyone's in action. So it's Blake versus Weiss still. The White Fang attacking all the sentries. Oh, we also have Jean versus the Jacques Knight, I guess we should call it. And then we have, RWBY versus the Grimm. The other thing I was thinking is that because Blake is in the nightmare now, is that how they're going to do their kiss? They're just going to wake up Weiss, and then we could get like an actual kiss, but make it Yang and Blake. But then I also thought, again, that's approaching it from someone who's watched RWBY for, 8 volumes, and their relationship has progressed a lot further. They haven't even kissed after 8 volumes. So doing it now feels very rushed. I think it was just, I keep being curious what their equivalent will be. Because it will be something, but I assume it's just going to be a friendship thing. But we'll see. I thought the sisterly thing would have worked too, do the frozen route, but neither of them that's happening with. Although we did make sure to see that RWBY still has the Grimm mark on her hand, the little vine. So maybe that'll come back in, because they did make sure to show it one moment before she dives in and starts fighting the Grimm. So we'll see how that all comes back. Anyway, been talking for a long time. That is where we left the episode. I, on a character level and for a writing level, really enjoyed this. I like the crazy solution. I like the justification for what they did. I like the way they treated the whole thing. I really like what most of the characters are doing. I love the way it makes Blake such a great character and really highlights her in a way that the main show sometimes forgets to do, and plays into her strengths. I really like some of the revelations we're getting, even with negative Weiss. I really like the sisterly stuff and Yang seeing RWBY as competent and a leader, not just her little sister, that becoming a more common thread. I'm really interested heading into the last 2 episodes. Things are ramping up and I really want to see what they do. I'm very curious. The only thing is, you can tell they're running out of money. You can tell that the animation is starting to hit the end. I feel like, unless the episode 12 is just a wrap-up episode and there's no fighting, that next episode might be pretty janky. If there is fighting in 11, but also fighting in 12, I feel like the fighting in 11 is going to suffer, so the fighting in 12 can be alright and we can end on a good note. So, my expectations are low visually going into the next episode, when they should be really high, because the situation is pretty crazy. Yang needs to get off that bike so they can stop having to animate it. But otherwise, I thought pretty much a fantastic episode. One of the better episodes to me on a writing level. I really like all the character stuff. Just suffered on the visuals because it's on the back end of the season. Hopefully they bring it around for the finale, but that should about do it. Again, please leave your thoughts about the whole thing, except, like I said, we're not doing the whole discourse about Blake. If you have a little comment you want to make, that's fine, but if I start seeing fights breaking out in giant, reply chains of people yelling at each other about Blake and the Adam stuff, I'm just gonna start deleting and blocking it because I can't be bothered. I really like that it wasn't this big negative that everyone made it out to be, and that everyone who judged way too quick hopefully feels bad about it and learns to give things a chance, because I think they did it pretty great. I think they handled it very maturely. I think they handled it very well, and I really like all of it being Blake's choice, and I love how, I said it all at the start. Point is, this was really good in general, just lacking on the animation side, in my opinion. But let me know your opinion, because I do want to read them, and until next time, My name is Rigger. Hope you have a wonderful day. Look out for that update video, hopefully coming this week. If it's not this week, it'll be next week, but hopefully this week. And until next time, I hope I did alright.